Police swarming the scene of a fatal ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We do begin with breaking news. Let's give you a live look from Minneapolis right now. The Homeland Security Assistant Secretary now confirming the woman shot by ICE officers has died. Protesters taking to the streets now, smoke bombs deployed. Tricia McLaughlin saying that the woman was trying to run into the officers with her car when an ICE officer opened fire. Dozens of officers now on the scene. Senior Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas with me here on set, along with retired NYPD Chief of Detectives Bob Boyce. Pierre, let's start with you. What do we know so far?
Again, we have the statement from the chief spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, and she's describing a very volatile situation in which they were protesters protesting what she called a targeted enforcement action in the city. She claims that there was an attempt to run over the ICE officials who were conducting the operation. She says that some of the ICE officials were injured in the process, but in the encounter, she claims that one of the ICE officers, fearing for his or her life, fired their weapon, and that the person who was involved in the vehicle has died. That is the latest information from the Department of Homeland Security. Obviously, you have a situation where the administration has been surging immigration enforcement operations within the city, and now this encounter, tensions have been rising. Now we have a death.
And Pierre, just to, as we're watching these live pictures and we're seeing all various members of law enforcement there on the scene in Minneapolis, as you mentioned, we've seen protests across the country. I mean, Los Angeles, Oregon, other states, Chicago, right? We have covered these ICE raids, ICE operations, the thousands of people that have turned up in protest. From what I remember, Los Angeles, it got pretty hairy on the streets there. But this is actually, is this the first, again, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this the first time we've actually seen something fatal happen?
I believe it is. I have to double check. There's been so many different encounters.
Right, and I know there's been shootings and there have been arrests, and it's been pretty hairy across the country.
Again, what we see here is the administration has been very upfront about the fact that it is attempting to remove as many undocumented people from the country as possible. I was actually watching a football game over the weekend where the Homeland Security Secretary has a video of people being removed via plane. And she tells the viewers that this will be you if you don't self-deport. So in the meantime, you've had cities like Minneapolis and Chicago and Los Angeles, and the officials in those cities do not want this level of activity. And you have people in the community up in arms. And today we had a fatality based on the enforcement action that was attempting to take place.
And Bob, as we watch these live pictures and we see the protesters out here on the street, we know that ICE agents have been targets. There have been threats out there against ICE agents. Communities across the United States not happy about what's happening with regard to the changes in immigration and the ICE agents carrying out arrests and raids throughout the country. So as we once again are talking about yet another city where we're seeing these protests and now the death of one of these protesters. What are you thinking? Is this something we're going to continue to see as long as these policies are in place?
Well, here, Kira, what you see here is pushback from not only the mayor, but also the governor against ICE. The 2,000-person deployment, the largest they have in the country, and already 1,000 arrests made by ICE in that area. This thing right here will really easily flush out. ICE agents wear body-worn cameras, so we'll know exactly what that officer or officers were seeing when this car drove towards them and what their actions in the immediacy was thereafter. So this will be dispelled immediately. The rancor of the dispute will go on and on and on.
And, we're sort of, since this news is breaking and we're getting information by the minute, we are trying to confirm if indeed we have seen a fatality within these protests. We know that ICE agents have been killed. I know I was thinking about that, Pierre. I'm trying to remember the last time that we covered one of these protests. We know that ICE agents have been targeted. There have been deaths. But now we are trying to work to kind of see what's happened across the country when these protests have taken place. Now that a protester has been killed, DHS saying that this protester actually was trying to run over the ICE agents with her car. Maybe we should give a little background and context, Pierre, whether it's Chicago, Los Angeles, other parts of the country, Oregon. I've talked about the protests there. Let's talk about Minneapolis specifically and what we know about ICE operations. Have they increased? What do we know as the new year has begun? Why Minneapolis and why they're there?
Well, a few days ago, it was announced that an additional 2,000 Homeland Security officials, enforcement operators would be going into the city of Minneapolis. Now, some of that has to do with in immigration enforcement. There have also been these allegations of fraud. So there's some question as to, okay, who's there doing what? But again, as far as this particular incident today, we believe this is connected to immigration enforcement, ICE in being involved. And again, the facts as we know them, during the course of this operation, they claim that protesters became violent. One in particular took a vehicle and used it as a weapon, according to DHS, to try to target the ICE officers. Very dangerous situation. According to DHS, the officer was fearing for his life, and his fellow officers shot this person. We now have a death. The mayor of Minneapolis, just to give you a sense of the discord between the federal government and the local government, the mayor is saying he wants ICE to leave the city. So we're not talking about a situation where federal authorities and local authorities and even state authorities are working hand in hand here. There's tension, there's frustration, and unfortunately today we have a death.
Right, and as we were talking, and obviously this is breaking news, and I'm trying to pull from my memory, Pierre, as we're locked in on this story right here, my producer reminding me it was the Dallas facility in October where there was a shooting. No agents were killed. One detainee was killed there. There was also that planned attack in July in Alvarado, Texas. No fatalities, but clearly, as ICE operations continue and the protests continue, today, sadly, we are reporting now a death, but we will continue to follow this. We also know that the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, and also the police chief there in Minneapolis, Brian O'Hara, they're going to be holding a press conference. I know you'll be watching, Pierre. Bob, I know you will too. We will take that live as soon as it begins, and we'll see what other details we get, and we will talk again. Pierre, thank you.